Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Days and welcome to this week's Raw review. I thought this was a really good Raw, nothing too special, but I think what excited me about this Raw was the fact that if this is what it's going to be like in a normal week, then I think we're in for some really interesting stuff. They managed to make pretty normal matches feel like they meant something, you know. I mean, it's very difficult to get excited for Rusev versus Mark Henry, but they made it a US Championship match. They did a promo backstage with Mark Henry talk about how he's going to open up a new wing in the Hall of Pain. And it felt good, you know. I mean, obviously Rusev and Lana getting married, and Lana comes out in her wedding dress, and this was just one example as how they made just normal matches that you can see week in, week out, just feel that little bit more special. There was a few moments as well that I just thought, oh, this is a bit painful. Like, never, ever can I ever remember people losing a match because of a game on a mobile phone, to lose a match because of Pokemon Go, which WWE must have some kind of an agreement with, because every week I'm being, told about Pokemon Go, and I'm hearing about Pokemon Go, and even Vince on Twitter sent a tweet out a couple of weeks ago where he had a Pokemon character in his weights room, and he was like, I don't know what you are, but get out of my weights room. So there must be some big agreement between WWE and Pokemon Go, but I thought that was a real low moment. I've got no problem with them doing it, but it's just a bit bizarre, isn't it, that it now, interferes in a match. I mean, I can't say I was the most excited when they said we were going to see the Golden Truth versus the Shining Stars, and then for that match to finish because of Pokemon Go is just, that for me was the low point anyway. Before we get into all of Raw anyway, and obviously that fantastic ending, let's do a couple of shout outs. So Cameron Bannister, WWE Lover, FaZe JJ, Cheo Benavides, Charlie Sutton, and Jack Da Silva 069. I know a lot of you have been watching for a long time. Some of you might be slightly newer to the channel, and this goes out to all of you guys. Just a massive thank you for all of your ongoing support. I like to go down and try and answer all of the comments. I just find myself going, thanks man, thanks a lot dude, cheers mate, thank you. I just say thank you all the time because of the amount of support and goodwill that you guys show me and the channel. And well, if I just can take a second just to say a thank you to all of you, then I definitely want to do that. So thanks a lot guys, really do appreciate it. Let's get into it anyway, because I have got literally page after page after page of notes. I can tell you there were 10 matches this week. I mean, the fact there were two big squash matches might explain, part of that. Raw opens up with Sasha. Charlotte comes out. There was "You Deserve It" chants for Sasha. Sasha talking about Bayley and NXT TakeOver and how they stole the show. Charlotte stumbled as she got into the ring, and Sasha was stumbling on the mic a little bit. It felt a bit nervous beginning, to tell the truth. They soon found their feet. Charlotte said that all Sasha was a one-night stand champion. Sasha said that's pretty funny because she reckons Charlotte's only here because of a one-night stand, which I thought was a great line. Jericho comes out. Enzo Amore comes out. Enzo's hitting on Sasha. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? There was talks about iPhones, hip-hop hobbits, bank deposits, Bon Jovi. It was crazy. It was a great promo. If you've not seen it, I urge that you watch it. Foley comes out and makes the mixed tag match, Jericho and Charlotte versus Enzo and Sasha, and that starts straight away. What I've put down about this start was it was long. It was really long. Just felt like it was going on and on and on. It was pointless. There's no need for this. We already know that Sasha and Charlotte are having a match. I didn't think that Jericho and Enzo was going to lead anywhere. Now I do. Now I think it's going to lead to Jericho and Kevin Owens against Enzo and Big Cass at some point, maybe SummerSlam. Although I don't know if that feels a waste for like Kevin Owens at SummerSlam, but then what's he going to do? He can't go for the Universal Championship. He can't go for the US title. So, I don't know, perhaps this is where he fits in. So I've put pointless, but the last word I wrote was fun. It was good fun. It was, good promos, great work from Enzo, great work from Jericho. I thought it highlighted the Women's Championship match as well. The fact we were talking about that at the start of the show. It's good for the women's division. I don't hate this. I don't hate it. I know that it didn't really matter or mean anything, but it's just fun, and it's another example as to if this is what a normal week's going to be like. I'm on board. KO was on commentary for this match. And cuts over and he's put Saxton's tie on. I've got to be honest, I was a bit disappointed because the commentary was about KO a lot of the time. It was all about, why is Kevin Owens out there? What's Kevin Owens' plans? And it was a great match, but as I said, they didn't focus on the match. There was a great moment where both Sasha and Enzo go diving through the ropes on top of Jericho and Charlotte. There was double knees from Sasha. Dana eventually comes down and interferes, which causes Charlotte to get the win with natural selection. Jericho's beaten up on Enzo after. Big Cass comes down. It's quite chaotic. It's, as I said, it's a good opener. Lots of spots, nice moments. I was on board with it. Straight after that, we get Braun Strowman match. This week is up against Evan Anderholm. Is it Evan Anderholm? And again, Byron interviews the jobber, and the guy's like, get $1,000 just for being here. I get $5,000 if I win. That James Ellsworth is just so over from last week. I'm not sure that Evan Anderholm will get the same response. I think that James Ellsworth was the first we'd seen of like a jobber in a long time, but then a jobber getting an interview as well, and he had a very distinct look. Whereas I'm not sure Evan's gonna, reach the dizzy heights that James got to. From what I'm hearing though, that James Ellsworth should be back in the future. He got such a big reaction following last week's Raw when he took on Braun Strowman that they're definitely going to use him again. Real quick match, reverse chokeslam win for Braun Strowman, who looks like a beast. He should look like a beast. He's going to have big matches in the future. We might get Undertaker Strowman at next year's WrestleMania. They could be building it for that because rumours were very heavy that was going to be this year's WrestleMania match, but they just hadn't built Strowman. They're doing the right thing at the moment. They're making him look unstoppable. I'd love to see Strowman Lesnar at some point. I know it would be like, two plodding giants, but well, Lesnar can move when he needs to. The jury's out on Strowman, so we'll have to see. Mark Henry, as we said, was announced as an ambassador for the Olympics, which start this week, and he got given a match against Rusev, which we'll talk about when we get to Golden Truth, Shining Stars. We've already spoke about it. Let's move on. Michael Cole introduces Finn Balor. This is one of my highlights. I love this bit. Balor comes out full entrance, not demon attire, just normal attire, but doing all of that stuff. In the corner, he did the full works. Very quickly Seth comes out, and Seth said that Balor was a bad remake. Everything Balor had done, Seth had already done, and he said that Balor was like Ghostbusters, compared him to Melissa McCarthy, he announced, if you want to see a real champion, watch what I do to Sami Zayn later. So it was in this segment the main event was announced for the show. Lovely back and forth promo between these guys, and really nice sequence. Seth goes to hit Finn. Finn strikes back, does a Pele kick, knocks Seth out of the ring, and Balor he looks like the $1 million superstar that we know he can be. He looks like the guy that's going to be the face that runs the place. So WWE rightfully are all in on Balor at the moment. Next up, we get that US Championship match. We get Lana coming out in a wedding dress. Rusev versus Mark Henry. Lots of strikes. Accolade attempt, but Henry manages to power out and then delivers a vicious clothesline. But then a kick to the back of the head by Rusev, who's very agile for such a big guy. He slaps on the Accolade, picks up the victory. Out comes Roman Reigns. What a fall from grace that is. This guy has been winning Rumbles, main event in WrestleMania, competing for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now he finds himself in a feud with Rusev, which is an absolute step down. There's no two ways about it. It is a step down. Now, it doesn't have to be that way, because the benefit of this is that Rusev is, a definite heel. And it's not as if they're putting Roman in there against Dean Ambrose, who's, a massive face, or Seth Rollins, who's just been so good that he gets that kind of face reaction. Rusev doesn't really enjoy that popularity, so this is a good opportunity for Roman to kind of, pick up a few fans, get a few more people onto his side, rebuild, and that's what he needs. He needs a degree of rebuilding. He could win that US Championship. They might have been building Rusev to feed him to Roman. Roman with a US belt would be pretty cool. I'm not a Roman hater. I don't think that he was the right person to be pushed as the face of the company, and I think that WWE are starting to step back from that now, certainly now that Balor's on the roster and we've got Seth back. Yeah, I'm very interested in this. I think that Roman's a good opponent for Rusev, and I'm looking forward to watching this build towards what will ultimately be a match at SummerSlam. It's, to my knowledge, not been announced, but it's happening. Darren Young with Bob Backlund. I love these guys. I love them. I've heard so many people just hating on this, but I think it's awesome. And he was going up against Titus, and what I wrote down here was this should be a bigger deal. There is no way they should be giving us Darren Young versus Titus ONeil just without any kind of announcement in advance. I was really disappointed, because this is the primetime players clashing with each other, going head to head. This could be vicious, this could be brutal, this could be a match that really defines Darren Young, having to get past his former tag team partner, his former friend, or, was friend before this. They had a backstage interview with both of them where they were getting on, and not after this match. Basically, Titus, dominates the match and then wins by rolling up Darren Young, roll up, cheap victory, but grabs the trunks, grabs the tights, and there's a great backstage bit where Bob Backlund's screaming at Titus, saying, "You cheated, you can't cheat at life," and all this. And Titus turns around and goes, "Get out of my face, otherwise I'll knock you out, old man." Out of nowhere, Darren Young comes in, starts pan, and it made sense. This wasn't a one-off thing. They are building for a bigger match. They are building towards maybe a SummerSlam encounter, or it's going to be, hopefully, a main event on a future Raw. I know that might sound silly, but they could build this. If you remember how vicious Undertaker Brock was, where the locker room were having to separate them, they could go that way with these guys. They should have gone that way with Goldust Stardust. And I'm not saying that it can reach those kind of levels, because those guys were brothers. But why not? Just fuel it, do whatever it takes. Have Titus beat up Bob Backlund. That would be fantastic. I'd go all in on this. I really would. If you want to make Darren Young great again, if you want to push him to that next stage, put him through an absolute hellacious feud. And I think a good opponent for him is his former tag team partner, Titus. I'm on board with it. Another interesting thing, Foley said Cesaro would have been a top 5 pick, but he saw the medical records, he saw Cesaro's shoulder injury, and that is why he wasn't as high up. I thought it was very important that they got that point across. A match is made. It's going to be Cesaro against Sheamus. Winner would get a championship match. Now, we don't know for what championship, but still a good prize to win, isn't it? And again, this is what I'm saying. They make average, normal matches, and they give them a purpose very, very quickly. Win the match, can have a future championship match. That's good. That's really good. So, next we had Nia Jax, who is being booked exactly the same as Braun Strowman. This dominant force that's just destroying jobbers. This week's jobber was Ariel Monroe, who kind of rolled her eyes when Nia came down. Bad move. She absolutely destroyed her. I just wrote the word squash, and that was it. Then there was an interview afterwards, right? And Byron got into the ring. Byron was taller than Nia Jax. That can't be right. I mean, I'm sure it is right. I can't imagine he was on his tiptoes or anything, or she was crouching down. But why didn't they get Michael Cole in there? You want Nia to look like this monster, then you need to put in some small guy. Get Tom Phillips in there. I can't imagine Tom Phillips is taller than Nia Jax. Maybe he is. I don't know. But I did look at it and go, well, that just makes her look small. You want her to look like this massive, massive monster. They should have gone a different direction with that. Next up, we had New Day against Gallows and Anderson. New Day with their usual, shtick. Bit of fun at the start with bananas and oranges. They were going up against Gallows and Anderson. Gallows and Anderson's a short match, this is. Doing the old too sweet and get distracted. And Big E picks up the victory. Roll-up victory, pretty cheap victory. But a victory all the same for the New Day. Gallows, they beat down the New Day after. Gallows picks up Big E twice, which I was amazed by. It kind of feels to me like the club are very much like this generation's, or could be this generation's outsiders. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. Certainly Gallows has got that Kevin Nash feel about him. I'd just be interested to watch how this progresses. I would want them to put the belts on Gallows and Anderson. I think they're going to need the titles. They need people chasing after them. Gallows and Anderson, I don't think, should really be the kind of people that go chasing after others. Next up, we had Cesaro against Sheamus. It was not the greatest of matches, to tell the truth. Nothing that we hadn't seen before. Nothing that I wasn't expecting. Lots of uppercuts from Cesaro. Standing suplex from Cesaro was excellent. Just like powered up Sheamus from a standing point. Like a deadlift. It was phenomenal. I agreed with Michael Cole. Headbutt to the face from Cesaro was a little bit out there. Springboard, spinning uppercut, and a neutralizer picked up the victory for Cesaro, who now earns himself a championship match in the future. Next up, we had Heath Slater and Jinder Mahal, which was quite a surprise. Had heard that he was coming, didn't know it was going to be on this week's Raw. And Foley came out and said, look, neither of you are on the roster, but if you have a match, winner can have a contract, so I've got one spot left. Heath was like, you can't break up the band, you can't break up brothers. Whilst in the background, Jinder's getting the ref ready and all this kind of stuff. It was a nice little moment. Kick to the midsection, 1, 2, 3, Jinder's on the roster. I think Jinder's going to do all right. I'll be interested to see how they kind of present him. I'm sure that they'll just use him as like a low card kind of person just to put over some of the other talent. Can't imagine for a second they're going to be putting him up against, Balor for the Universal Championship or anything like that. Maybe they will. Maybe that'll just be a week of Raw or something. But he's a good option. He's all right. Jimin Marvin Luva. That Jericho promo backstage, the interview, when he was like, yeah, Big Cass might have Enzo's back, but, someone's watching mine. And Tom Phillips was like, who is it? It's like, Jimin Marvin Luva, shot put champion. Kevin Owens came out and just went, you've totally made that name up, but don't worry because I've got you back. And as you said, maybe that does lead to Owens and Jericho against Enzo and Big Cass. Next up, we get to the main event. Sami Zayn against Seth Rollins. Big match feel. And, wow, they delivered. They really, really delivered. This was pay-per-view quality, and it prompted "This is awesome" chants. Sami Zayn moonsault off the barricade, a spot that he's done a few times before. Seth driving Zayn into the barricade twice. Let's go Rollins, Sami Zayn. Chants going all throughout this. A Michinoku driver by Zayn. Blue Thunder Bomb by Zayn. Inzaguri from Seth. Tightrope DDT from Zayn. Missed Haluva, but then launched himself onto the outside. This was just spot after spot. Action-packed. It was fantastic. Honestly, it was fantastic. It's one of the best matches on Raw this year. It's absolutely brilliant. Match finishes because Sami misses his second haluva. He goes straight into a pedigree, 1, 2, 3. The right person picks up the victory. Seth needs the momentum going into that huge SummerSlam match. Still unknown as to what's going to happen with Sami. We'll have to see. I'm sure Sami will make it onto the card. It's just where he fits. Then finally we get to, you know, the final segment. Paul Heyman comes out, introduces the Beast. Didn't know what they were going to say. Were they going to talk about the drug scandal? You know, you would have thought not, but WWE do like to surprise us from time to time. But nothing was mentioned about that. Basically, Brock just stands there grinning, and Heyman cuts one of his fantastic promos, talking about how Randy's entrance song is "I Hear Voices," and he was saying, "I hope those voices telling you that Brock's going to beat you up and drag you down to Suplex City." He said, "People say that it'll take one RKO, but you're not even going to get close enough to deliver an RKO." And then out of nowhere, Randy appears, hits an RKO, Brock's out on the floor, and Randy tails it into the crowd, takes his shirt off. One of them kind of moments in with the crowd. It was epic. It was a fantastic end to Raw. It took what was an average Raw, which was still a very good Raw, and made it into a great Raw. You know, not a fantastic, not an awesome Raw, not a one that's going to live in the memory for the rest of time kind of a Raw. But just, it was good. I was entertained. You know, there was a few low moments this week, but that cherry on top, oh, they got that bang on. They got that absolutely bang on. So a second strong week for Raw. We'll have to see what SmackDown have got in store, but SmackDown have got it all to do. The jury from last week was that Raw won handsomely. So I don't know what SmackDown can do. We know we've got Alpha on SmackDown and whatnot. And obviously they're going to build the Ziggler-Dean Ambrose match, but it doesn't feel like it can compete with what Raw are doing at the moment. So it is a concern. But yeah, another good week for Raw. I'd love to know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Did you... I don't know. Are you more excited for SmackDown than Raw? Maybe you are. Drop it in the comments, or you can jump over to Twitter and Facebook and get in touch with me at Wrestling Days UK. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, it'd be wicked, great, brilliant if you would or could, because we've got SmackDown Live reviews coming, NXT reviews coming, CWC reviews coming, more figure reviews, collection video on the way, maybe an unveiling. It's all happening. It's all happening. And there's also a big announcement coming from the Wrestling Days channel. So I don't know if that'll be this week. I'm going to try and make it this week. So yeah, man, it's all going on. So thanks a lot for watching, and hopefully see you again next time. Bye for now.